Oh, man. If you thought Barbra Streisand's singing was intolerable, imagine her making it worse by adding towering economic ignorance as she actually sings the praises of Joe Biden's collectivist economic totalitarianism, inflation, and employment misery. Hi everyone, I'm Gardner Goldsmith for MRC-TV. Yes, perhaps, just perhaps, it was an early April Fool's joke, the jape of the century, as Holly might say on Red Dwarf. Perhaps she's been too cloistered in her luxurious Malibu estate to connect to reality. Perhaps she's so utterly bereft of any knowledge of economics, she actually believes the nonsense spewed by the Bidenistas and their friends in dinosaur media. Or perhaps she knew she was lying. Whatever the reason, on December 31st, former pop singer / actress Barbra Streisand found it necessary to claim on Twitter, yeah, get this, quote, Joe Biden's economic record in his first year is the best in 40 years. The media largely ignored this, end quote. Far be it for someone who writes about the media and teaches economics and philosophy and tries to back up his statements with actual facts to disagree. But this kinda, sorta is utterly not the case. In fact, Planet Streisand's off-gassing of ignorance is so disconnected from reality, it makes one wonder if Babs has ever watched CNN, MSNBC, ABC, NBC, CBS, PBS, or any other pop media outlet as they cheerlead and massage the atrocious Biden record as if they're trying to polish a turd. It also makes one wonder if the evergreen singer is pining, perhaps for the malaise of Jimmy Carter, when of course she actually had hit records, or if when she uses the word record tied to Biden, she actually means Biden actually recorded a record, which of course likely would be called Come On, Man.
Come on, folks.
Which should be backed on the B side of the 45 with the sleeper hit, Let's Go Brandon.
Let's go, Brandon. I agree.
That'd be funny to like make fake 45 covers or whatever. Like, come on, man. That'd be great. To the top of the charts. Come on, man. All right. Well, one thing's for sure. It reminds many Americans that Streisand often exhibits the tawdry characteristics of an insufferable and ill-informed bore. And that a single year under Biden's ice cream drizzled boot can actually feel like 40 years. Breitbart's Walter Todd Houston appears to be one of those Americans who noticed this and perhaps feels this way. And like many of us, he pushed back at Streisand's senseless claim and at the characteristic lack of wisdom she displayed in making it. Quote, the people singer did not bother giving fans the source of her statistic, nor did she take any time to offer any other explication or proof of this claim. Still, even some of her liberal fans noted that one of the reasons Biden's numbers can be said to have risen over 2020 statistics is because many of the restrictions imposed on the nation due to the pandemic were eased. After all, an economy would have nowhere else to go but up once rules that artificially squelched it were reversed, end quote. Those would be authoritarian edicts, not rules, set down mostly by Biden's pals in numerous states and facilitated by Donald Trump's unconstitutional March 2020 announcement that the SARS-CoV-2 virus represented a national emergency, something no one in any branch of the U.S. government constitutionally can say or do, and is akin to a child declaring himself Superman more than anything resembling constitutional governance. You know what? Economic historian Streisand seems to have forgotten all this, and she might have been too busy plotting ways to torture us with her oral music assaults to notice other things. For example, something that Brittany Hughes from MRC-TV reported in early December, that the inflation rate year to year at that point was 6.8%, the worst single-year rise since 1982. And that doesn't even include the fact that estimated overall price increases aren't even measured the same way as they were in 1982. The new metric likely hides the full picture that the economic Dorian Gray hides in his government-cursed attic. Breitbart's Houston wonders about this as well. He wonders if Streisand simply was rephrasing Biden's equally addled December 29th Twitter claim that the economy was just peachy. Quote, "We're ending 2021 with what one analyst described as the strongest first-year economic track record of any president in the last 50 years. Let's keep the progress going." End quote. The Communist Manifesto was almost completely enacted in the United States. Never give up. I'm curious, was Biden in consultation with Streisand to hatch this in some sort of genius plot of bogus circularity? Like, for example, perhaps he spoke to her, considering her to be that analyst he mentioned, and then she released her reiteration of the fantasy 2 days later. Or perhaps Biden, Babs, and his gang are so actually avaricious, they just make things up and see how far they can push absurdity before Americans will call them on the wildly inaccurate nonsense that they spew. I wonder, has Streisand actually not seen any reality? Also, has she not seen another one by Brittany Hughes, which was released on MRC-TV on December 15th, her piece covering the nutty claims of White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki, when she said that meat prices were through the roof because of
the greed of meat conglomerates.
And how about Brittany's coverage of Senator Tim Scott, the Republican from South Carolina, saying in mid-December, quote, "The last time inflation was this high, I had an afro." Same thing with me, Tim. Same thing with me. Ask anybody who knew me all my life until I started to lose it. And now it's quite the opposite. Heck, in September, The Spectator's John Steele Gordon observed, quote, "The Bureau of Labor Statistics issued its August jobs report this morning, and the numbers are pretty dismal. While the unemployment rate dropped 0.2% to 5.2%, the number of new jobs created was only 235,000, far below expectations of about 700,000. In June, the number was 962,000, and in July, a whopping 1.1 million, end quote. And those stats require consideration of the vast number of people who actually dropped off the unemployment dole rolls and out of the job market entirely. Now, Breitbart's Houston also refers to his fellow Breitbart reporter, Alfredo Ortiz, and his December 31st coverage of the dark Biden economy. Quote, "Here are some inconvenient truths that destroy Biden's argument. Inflation, as measured by the Consumer Price Index, CPI, is currently running at 6.8%, the fastest pace in 40 years. As I argued in a recent op-ed, when you conduct an apples-to-apples comparison of how inflation is measured now versus 40 years ago, today's inflation may actually match or even exceed President Carter levels. The Producer Price Index, PPI, which measures the prices businesses pay for their inputs and is a forward indicator of the CPI, is increasing at a record 9.6%. End quote. And Ortiz notes this about the unemployment malaise. Quote, "In reality, the labor market remains far below its pre-pandemic peak. There are still 4 million fewer people working today and nearly 5 million more people out of the labor force compared to February 2020. After falling precipitously from 66 to 63% under Obama, the labor force participation rate, LFPR, actually rose under Trump before the so-called pandemic hit. A remarkable achievement given its long-run decline. Today, the LFPR, including among 25 to 54-year-olds, has gained back only about half of its pandemic-related decline. Nothing to celebrate. Nothing to celebrate at all. But Streisand, contrary to every economic metric worth noting, is cheerleading the jab-mandating, price-spiking, rights-hating Joe Biden as he metaphorically spits in our faces and calls it rain. She sings his praises without a hint of truth in her Twitter-amped voice. It's insulting, but at least it's only in written form. Her music library is bad enough without her adding more pain. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Remember, like and subscribe. Keep fighting for freedom. We'll see you on YouTube in the comments section. Please share the videos. You get the opportunity, and we'll see you in Rumble. Thank you, Rumble, for not censoring us. We'll see you on Facebook at the MRC-TV page there. We'll see you on Twitter, on TikTok, and Instagram. And, of course, you can always find me over at Gab. I'm at Gardner Goldsmith on Gab. For MRC-TV, I'm Gardner Goldsmith.